The planet Tarvis Prime was engulfed in flames, burning in eerie silence. Zalora stood at the edge of a shattered metropolis, her obsidian-black war armor gleaming under the dim glow of a dying sun. The air reeked of ionized metal and scorched ozone, remnants of the orbital bombardment lingering like a phantom over the ruins. The streets were strewn with the wreckage of a once mighty civilization. Charred structures, smoldering debris, and occasional graffiti hastily scrawled by some last, defiant soul before the inevitable end. It all felt painfully familiar. Fear. It was always a final, unavoidable consequence of her conquests. Civilizations crumbled, species surrendered, and entire planets whispered her name in terror long after she had left. It was an endless cycle, an unshakable truth of the universe. And yet, Zalora's crimson eyes narrowed as she examined the surviving captives kneeling before her. A collection of shackled refugees, diplomats, and fallen warriors. All trembled, heads bowed, awaiting their fate. All except one, a human. Zalora's brow furrowed. Among the prisoners, he stood with his hands tucked into the pockets of a torn, soot-covered flight jacket. He was lean but not weak, his posture relaxed. His face, speckled with dirt, bore no trace of despair. Instead, he regarded her with something strange, something she had never seen in a defeated enemy before. Amusement. Her armored boots clanked against the scorched ground as she approached him, each step slow and deliberate. The warlords flanking her stiffened, ready for the inevitable execution. The human had either lost his mind, or had never possessed one to begin with. "Why aren't you afraid, human?" she demanded. Her voice sharp and precise, a blade honed to break even the will of kings. The human tilted his head slightly, glancing around as if confirming she was speaking to him. Finally, he exhaled, nodding to himself. "Well, for one, I've had worse Mondays." A tense silence followed. One of her warlords, a towering brute clad in jagged cybernetic armor, let out a guttural snarl. "He mocks you, Supreme One. Shall I tear him apart?" The human raised a hand. Whoa, let's not be hasty here. Big guy, you look like you work out, and I have, exactly zero interest in becoming a smear on your resume." Zalora's eye twitched. "You stand before the supreme warlord of the Zeit Dominion. You should be on your knees." The human gave an exaggerated look downward. "I don't know. Kneeling's not really my thing. Bad for the spine. I do yoga sometimes." A pulse of energy surged through the air as Zalora's gauntlet flickered with a deep violet glow. It wasn't a warning, it was instinct, the reflex of a being whose rule had never been challenged. Every sentient creature in the galaxy feared her. But as the energy crackled, the human just sighed. "Look," he said, rubbing the back of his neck. "I get it. You got the whole Galactic Doom Empress aesthetic going on, very intimidating, solid 10 out of 10. But honestly," he shrugged, "fear's kind of overrated." One of the warlords took a menacing step forward, fury evident in his stance. "Do you not understand your place, human?" The man scratched his chin. Let's see. I'm standing in a pile of rubble, surrounded by terrifying warlords, in front of an evil overlady who can probably atomize me with a frown." He nodded. "Yeah, I think I've got a pretty good grasp of my place." Zalora's gauntlet clenched. Something about his insufferable attitude gnawed at her, a sensation she had not felt in eons. Not anger, not even frustration. Curiosity. She stepped closer, her voice dropping to a deadly whisper. "What is your name, human?" He gave her a 2-fingered salute. "Captain Elias Vance. Pleasure to meet you." Zalora studied him. "You are either the bravest or most foolish creature I have ever encountered, Captain Elias Vance." He smirked. "Why not both?" A ripple of disbelief passed through the warlords. There were rules to how these moments played out. Fear, pleading, submission. No one had ever responded to her with sheer, unrelenting irreverence. Zalora took a deep breath, weighing her next move. A simple flick of her wrist, and he would be reduced to cosmic dust. She had executed generals, kings, and entire planetary leaders for lesser offenses. And yet, for the first time in centuries, she hesitated. "Take him to flagship," she ordered, her tone even. "I will deal with him personally." A stunned silence fell over the warlords. No one spoke. No one dared question her. Vance, on the other hand, whistled. Oof. Personally, huh? You know, normally I'd appreciate a lady taking an interest in me, but I get the feeling this is going to be a bad news kind of situation. Zalora turned sharply, her cape billowing behind her as she strode toward her ship. She ignored the lingering sense of intrigue curling at the edges of her mind. After all, the Doombringer was not just a ship, it was a testament to galactic dominance. Spanning nearly 20 kilometers in length, its hull gleamed obsidian black against the void, bristling with ion cannons, planet crackers, and enough firepower to make a sun reconsider its career choices. It was a monument of terror, a place where prisoners vanished into cold metal corridors and never left, which made it all the more concerning that Captain Elias